Okay, good evening, students. We are very much happy that Dr. Sanchita Ghosh is with us. We will train you about the qualitative research methodology, specifically analysis of the interview technique and case study. So now it is over to Farah. I am requesting Farah to introduce Dr. Sanchita Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh is my student. Once upon a time, she did research as project assistant. Am I right, Sanchita?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In 2005, it was 2005.
Yeah. So now I am handing over to Farah. I am making Farah as a host. And since I am in counseling session,
Okay,
I
sir.
cannot stay here for a long time. Acha, Amruta is here. Amruta is the student coordinator.
Okay,
And
sir.
Sanchita, possibly you know Shrestha. Shrestha is the student of our Department of Psychology.
Okay.
So Shrestha is doing PhD there. Okay. So dear students, please, if whatever questions you have, please you ask Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you, sir.
So now I
Thank
am
you for
leaving. Okay. So I am making you host. Please you
Yes,
introduce madam. After
Yes,
that, you make madam as the host.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Sanchita, when you have finished, then you make Farah as the host, so that Farah will finish.
Okay, sir.
If I get chance, then I will join.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, students. I am pleased to introduce Dr. Ghosh, who will be joining us as an external faculty member for the interview analysis practicum in qualitative research methodology. Dr. Ghosh is currently an uh, assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at West Bengal State University, holding a license as a rehabilitation psychologist. She brings an extensive academic background, having earned both her master's degree and PhD from the Department of Psychology at the University of Calcutta, along with a postgraduate diploma in cognitive behavioral and existential counseling. With almost 2 decades of experience as a mental health professional, Dr. Ghosh has significantly contributed to the field. Her research focuses on the junior participants of reality television shows, reflecting her keen observational skills. She has actively engaged in various research projects at institutions such as the Indian Statistical Institute and the University of Calcutta. Beyond her academic roles, Dr. Ghosh has been involved in teaching at reputable institutions, including Adams University, and has authored numerous publications, including co-authoring a psychology textbook for competitive examinees. Her commitment to advancing knowledge is further demonstrated through her roles as the convener and organizing secretary for the first 2022 and second 2023 International Conference on Peace Psychology at West Bengal State University, as well as the organizing secretary for the second virtual national conference of the Association of Rehabilitation Psychologists and Professionals, ARPP India, on psychosocial rehabilitation and mental health research in the new normal era. We are truly fortunate to have Dr. Ghosh with us, and I extend my sincere appreciation for her valuable contribution to academia and mental health. I'm certain that her guidance will greatly enhance our learning experience during the interview analysis practicum. Over to you, ma'am. We make you host.
Thank you, Farah. for the nice introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I share my screen now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are the host now.
Okay. Mm, the message is showing that host disabled participant screen sharing till now.
Ma'am, you can share your screen. Okay, ma'am. There are two names. Okay. Ma'am, you can make your other ID host.
Actually, my laptop, the sound system of my laptop is not working. That's why for the sound purpose, I am from my phone, and for the mm, material which I'll be teaching or discussing, that I will share from my laptop.
Okay, so ma'am, I made one of your ID host. So only now you can change the host.
Okay, I'm trying. Can you guide me from where I can change the
ma'am.
host?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, you can see in three dots there.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So click on that and you will find options there. Make host.
From the screen from which I'm visible, can you please make that screen host?
Yes, ma'am. I made one of your ID hosts. So only you can change the host now. So if you want to
Okay.
make another ID your host, then you have to click on that name and then you will find three dots there and you have to choose make host wala option.
Actually, I cannot operate it from my phone. Okay, I'm trying to do it.
Ma'am, you are from your mobile, na, ma'am, right now?
I'm speaking from my mobile, and
Huh.
my screen is visible from my laptop.
Okay. So, ma'am, now click on your other ID who is not host. Click on that ID.
Okay.
You will find three dots there. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You will find three dots there, ma'am. Click
Okay.
on the huh. Make host ka option will.
Hide non. No, it's not visible here. Should I leave and again join? Then will it be possible for you?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You leave, ma'am. Then I think I'll become host. Ma'am, click on the chat. Ma'am, click on the participants. Click on the participants, ma'am. Ma'am, you will find your name there. Now click on that one. You will find three dots. Okay, ma'am, I'm the host now. Okay, I'm making you host. Ma'am, now can you share? I made you host. You have to join from your mobile, ma'am, for the mic. Your live ID.
I have joined from my mobile, and
Ma'am,
I have created you as uh, host. I have created you again host. So just make the video from which I'm visible, make that ID as host.
yes, ma'am. I made you host, ma'am. Now you can
Okay.
share the
Okay.
screen.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, thank you.
Mm. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And before starting, I just want to know your background, the participants who have joined the group.
Ma'am, all are from psychology background. Only Mona Lisa is from management background.
Okay. Thank you, Farah.
Ma'am,
So today we'll be discussing about interview analysis. And I think this is not the first time are you are actually going through the interview. I have heard that the types of interview you have already in your class it has been already taught. So just going to the detail analysis part, I will go for a quick review for the interview analysis, and there will be certain other perspective. Uh, just like just before starting, I just want to share my thoughts that we know that the interview can be conducted in three methods, as we know that it may be structured interview, it may be unstructured interview, it may be semi-structured interview. And I think you all know about these terms. These terms are very known to you. So I will discuss uh, some related concepts which we need to address before going in detail analysis of the interview. So before we should start from what is interview. So as we can see that the McCoby and McCoby they have defined the interview as face-to-face verbal exchange in which one person, the interviewer, attempts to elicit information uh, or expressions of opinion or belief from another person or persons. So many forms of interview are conducted, and today mediated by telephone or the internet. And during Corona phase, all of us know that we need to conduct many research through our Zoom meeting or Google Meet, or may we have created some Google Forms, and we have asked our participants just to write down the questions and write down the answers about which the questions have been asked. And many of us also have conducted interview through telephone also. So when we think about interview, actually we know that we all psychologists that it is a face-to-face verbal exchange, and in which one person is the interviewer and who attempts to elicit the information and expressions of opinion or belief from another person or persons. So the interviewer is the key person who actually try to elicit the opinions or information, or if it is a in-depth interview, then uh, the lifelong journey of the interviewer or participant. And though we know that it is a face-to-face verbal exchange, there are other forms just we have discussed. So these are the advantage when we have conducted research, or we got the opportunity to conduct research through internet or telephone. Actually, during that time, we got the advantage of interviewing the person who is actually staying far away from us, and we can actually save some time. From that perspective, it may be parsimonious, and also there are some if we want to conduct some research in an area where it is very difficult to get entered, and if the participant agreed that they will be available on Zoom call or telephone, then we may conduct interview in that situations also. So there are some sorts of advantages which we can have when we conduct interview through some other medium. So all of us know that the term structured interviews. So structured interview, if we think about structured interview, there will be some sort of previously set questions, and the interviewee will be asked to answer the questions of those particular those particular domain only. Not any extra questions will be asked if we conduct the interview in any structured form. But here, just if you can notice that I have added the term relatively structured interviews. I can share it as a researcher from my experience that when we bound to sit in a face-to-face situation and we start the recorder, and we actually before conducting the research before conducting the interview, when we just trying to build up the rapport, then we take the permission of the participant just to give their consent for sorry just to give their consent for participation in the research. During that phase, they become very much conscious and alert that their all words will be recorded, all words will be communicated in a formal setting. So here you can see that the utterances that spill beyond the structure are often quite important, and are even sometimes the key to understanding the interviewee's answers to the post-structured questions. Okay, so just I have experienced it from my PhD research that when we actually start, I have conducted research with the junior participants of the reality shows, and they were at the very tender age. The age range was 6 to 13 years, and during that phase, they actually during that age, and when they were in the reality show grooming session, during that phase, I conducted their interview, and I have seen that when we just sit in face-to-face situation and we started talking, and I just switch on the button of my recorder. During that phase, they try to communicate the information in a very formal way, in a very socially desirable way. But when I used to switch off the recorder, but the button of the recorder, then I find them very comfortable. They are expressing their true emotions, they are expressing their true concerns, their suffering, and what they are actually experiencing during their reality as a participant of the reality shows. So that's why we need to think about that if it is structured, can we maintain that much structured setup if we want to conduct the research, and if we have some sort of research questions, and if we find that after just completing the asking the research questions, you find your participant has started expressing more emotions, more informations, which you actually want to take or include in your research. So standardized ways of asking questions are thought to lead to answers that can be compared across participants and possibly quantified. So when we try to conduct any research, especially in social science, this is a very keen tool to conduct our research. And during that time, if we just start asking questions just like a journalist, then it will be difficult for our participants maybe may to answer or may to express their true emotions. So before conducting research, we must think about our skills. We need to develop our skills of taking how to conduct interview in a properly skilled way as a skilled researcher. Okay, so interviewers are supposed to read questions exactly as worded to every respondent, and are trained never to provide information beyond what is script in the questions. So this is the format of structured interview. The interviewers actually are supposed to answer the questions which they were asked to provide the information. Nothing will be asked beyond those structured questions. And all the structured interviews are useful for some purposes. There are some benefits, or there are some usefulness of conducting structured interview. They do not take advantage to the dialogical potential for knowledge production that are inherent in human conversations. So during conducting the structured interview, we can only have the information which are very much informative. It's difficult to get entry in the lifelong journey of a interviewer through structured questions. They are passive recordings of people's opinions and attitudes. So the just interviewer will ask the questions, and the interviewees will answer those questions, and the answers will be recorded. So in this way, in the passive mode, these things are conducted. They often reveal more about the cultural conventions of how to answer questions than about conventional production of social life itself. Just I've shared my journey that they used to answer the questions the way the answers actually conventionally answered in a social setting. So they used to answer they may answer in a socially desirable way. We cannot say that every participant will answer in a socially desirable way, but there are chances that the participants will answer answer the questions in a socially desirable way. And according to Parker, there really is no such things as a completely structured interview, because people always say things that spill beyond the structure before the interview starts and when the recorder has been turned off. Just I have shared my experience, and this same reference has I've given the reference of Parker, who has also expressed the same concern. On the other end of the continuum, we can observe that there is also no such thing as completely unstructured interview, since the interviewer will have an idea about what should take place in the conversation. So if we just talk about that we will conduct the interview in a completely unstructured manner, then also we'll be having some sort of questions as a researcher, and we will try to conduct the research in getting the answer of those research questions, for getting the answer of those research questions. So we cannot say that there is a completely unstructured interview. So this is a kind of different kind of proposition which we find from the writing of Parker. Then we will be talking about relatively unstructured interviews. And the life story interview is seeking to highlight the most important influences, experiences, circumstances, issues, themes, and lessons of a lifetime. Suppose we want to conduct research on a victim who is a victim of acid attack. Okay, so they have a long story, that how what was the background, when how was the relationship, and whether the person was known to her or him, and how that that relationship get in a turmoil position, and how that person becomes so much aggressive, and during the acid attack, what was the person's experience, and how they struggle to lead their life, or in a and how to try to lead their life in a mainstream society. So individual can only be known in the course of spending time with interviewee, which means that interviewer cannot prepare for a life story interview by devising a lot of specific questions, but must instead think about how to facilitate the telling of the story. So here, as an interviewer, we cannot prepare a set of questions, and that's why it is unstructured. Definitely, we are having some sort of research questions which we want to explore, but we cannot prepare a set of questions through which we are trying to explore the life story of a, say for example, acid attack victim. Okay, after opening the request for narrative, the main role of the interviewer is to remain the listener. Just mind it that if we are having some sort of query, if we become emotionally aroused, then our interview session will be interrupted. So it is a sole responsibility of the interviewer to hold that role, or to remain as a quiet listener, withholding desires to interrupt. You may have desire to interrupt many a time when the interviewee is a mode of expressing his or her emotion. We may have same kind of emotion, and in qualitative research that we can say it in a different term, that is the self reflexivity. Maybe we can take a note of that part, but we need not interrupt the flow of the interview, and occasionally asking questions that may clarify the story. during listening, we may have some kind of doubt, or we may have some kind of query regarding the interviewers. While we were listening the interviewer's journey, we can clarify that part. The life story interview is a variant of most general genre of narrative interview. So, through this uh, unstructured interview, specifically life story interview, we can arrive to the narrative interviewing also. Then we will talk about here semi-structured interviews. They are probably also the most widespread ones in the human and social sciences today. Compared to more structured interviews, semi-structured interviews can make better use of knowledge, producing potentials of dialogue by allowing much leeway for following up on whatever angles are deemed important by the interviewee, and the interviewer has a greater chance of becoming visible as a knowledge producing participant in the process itself, rather than hiding behind a present interview guide. So here actually the things which we want to have or want to explore here, interviewee and interviewer can jointly explore those parts, and the interviewer has a greater chance of becoming visible as a knowledge producing participant. Just try to remember when we were discussing about the structured interview. During that time, I was talking about only the information producing part. We can get the informations through structured interview, but we can arriving to the knowledge producing part, but knowledge part through semi-structured interview also. Now, if we conduct the research, or in research through interview method, and we may apply any structured interview, unstructured interview, or semi-structured interview. So the first thing, before analyzing the contents of the interview, we need to transcribe the data and we need to read the transcripts. Okay, so it is a very intensive process, okay, and time consuming process also to transcribe the whole interview. And here we have seen that a 90-minute interview can take 8 hours to may take 8 hours to transcribe. So it is a huge time taking process. Through quantitative research, we can derive the data part in a more quick way than in qualitative research. Actually, it is a very time consuming work also, and we need to work regularly. Just when we conduct quantitative research, many a time researchers actually try to reach a certain number, then they start the scoring part, then they try to analyze the data and the data set also. But in qualitative research, we need to work with the contents of the interview regularly. Okay, so here for analyzing the data, we need to listen and re-listen the interview again and again. Okay, and re-listen to the audio to fill the unclear passages or to correct errors. Transcribe non-verbal utterances. During conversation, we know that no one express their emotion very fluently without having any pause or laughter. It may come during the conversation. So all things need to be noted, that within bracket, that during saying something about the relationship with the fiancé, the partner may become very shy and started laughing, or become or may become very inhibited. That's why just she stopped for a paused for a few seconds. So all things need to be recorded just as a while we will be transcribing the data. We should we should transcribe all these non-verbal cues and information also. Deliver what the participants say. Don't edit their language even if it is inappropriate. If you need to clarify, you can see here that the third bracket has been provided. If you need to clarify, and after the word there in parenthesis s has been written. And in unstructured interview, we got the chance many a time to clarify the doubt. We may go to the participant again. We can clarify that this part is not very clear to me. Can you explain a little more about this part? Can you say a little bit about this part? In this way, we can also clarify. Okay. Participants, one thing we need to mention, we know that as a researcher, we have to maintain research ethics. And for doing qualitative research also, while we will be communicating the data or discussing the data, since it may be the life story of the participant, we always need to be very conscious about the confidentiality part. We should not express their personal details about the demographic details of the participants, such as name, age, these parts. We may express the age, but we should not express the name. So participant's full name or other referred to should not be transcribed due to the purpose of confidentiality. Just here we will be having a sort of example how we can do the transcription. And during doing the transcription, while we are doing the transcription, we may have some thought in our mind that can we can take a note of that thought also. Here we will be able to see that overall note. I tried my best to identify each voice as unique, and this is reflected as R1, R2, R3, etc. In some cases, it was difficult to disentangle those voices belong to who. However, most importantly, the content is transcribed. Okay, so just we were talking about if there is any query, then we can put a question mark, and we can emphasize the word and s in parenthesis. In this way, we can do the transcription part. Then transcribing and reading the transcripts again and again is very much needed before doing the interview analysis. So when your transcripts are done, you should read them multiple times to familiarize yourself with the data. So it is a sole responsibility of a qualitative researcher who is doing research through using interview method. After conducting the interview and after doing the transcription part, we need to read the content several times, interview content several times. And we need, while reading, we need to take notes that this maybe for the first time while we are reading, we are just reading it, going it through. During that time, maybe one or two points are coming out in our mind. We may take note of those readings, and while we are doing the fifth time, we are going for the reading for the fifth time, then also we may have some other feeling, other points. Those things also need to be noted. So what is happening here? What is important? We need to ask these questions several times before, while we are doing the analysis. And then the reflective thinking. Just I have used this term. What is reflective thinking? that we need to memo our thoughts, insights, and reflections. As a researcher, sometimes we also get influenced by the journey, by the traumatic journey of our participant, or very positive journey of our participant. So the way it is reflecting the researcher, that is the self-reflection, and that reflective thinking is also need to be recorded in our memos. So here are the coding approaches. And just you can see here that overall coding approaches. Here is one is concept driven, that is deductive, and data driven, that is inductive. While there is a concept driven, suppose we have a sort of predetermined questions on the basis of different concepts, and on the basis of those concepts we want to analyze the data. Okay, so then we will be able to deduce, we'll be using the deductive reasoning. But when there is no preconceived concept, and we are in an open-ended mode, we are in an in-depth, we are conducting an in-depth interview. So during analyzing the data, some concepts will arrive. Okay, so these are the data driven. This way of thinking is data driven, and this is we during that time actually we use inductive kind of reasoning. Then we'll be talking about the overall approaches to coding, concept driven coding. Here in the deductive coding, what we do, codes are developed before the coding process begins. So we are having some sort of predetermined questions, and we just while we'll be analyzing the interview, we will try to find out those concepts in those interviews. Okay, so kind of codes we have already developed, and we are just searching those codes in those specific interviews. You then look for those ideas in the next of your transcripts. Codes could be based on an interview guide. So these codes can be the researcher can derive these codes based on some interview guides. There may be some previous work where we are having lots of examples during on that particular area of research. So we are having some previous codes, and suppose the research has been conducted in Rajasthan, and they have conducted a thorough interview and they have derived to a code, and then we are trying to conduct that particular research in West Bengal with some participants. Then we may try to find out those codes are available in West Bengal. The participants who are residing in West Bengal, those codes are also present in their interview or in their conversation or not. So codes developed based on the theory or existing literature. Just we have discussed that while we have conducted a thorough literature review, and we have find many literatures. Based on that, we have developed some sort of previously determined code, and we are just trying to go for deductive coding. Okay, then we'll be talking about the inductive coding. So the overall approaches to coding data, that is data driven coding, that is one of the most important thing in qualitative research, that is inductive coding. No pre-developed system of codes. There we do not have any previous predetermined codes. While I was conducting research with the reality television show participants, I didn't get any supportive literature from psychology who have conducted research in this particular domain. And I may say that I have I have and that novelty was there in my research. That's why kind of pioneering work it was. So I didn't have any pre-developed system of codes. Okay, so I have started interacting with them, and I conducted in a semi-structured way. I have some determined sorts of questions, but I didn't ask those questions in a serial way. Okay, suppose I have 10 questions, but I may not ask the questions in a maintaining that serial. Okay, I uh, may I have actually give them that space, give them that space so that they can express their feelings. Then the relevant question which is linked to their expression, I have asked that question. So in a semi-structured way, we can have a predetermined, so we have a sorts of predetermined questions, but we have that flexibility to ask the question as per the relevance of the content of the conversation. Okay, so let the words speak for themselves and then construct coding structure based on your review. Okay, so when one participant start speaking about their life journey, about their emotional journey, about their expectation, or maybe their attitude, maybe their value system, they have lots of things to express. Okay, and those words actually speak for themselves, and from those words we can start our analysis. Okay, and just after this slide we will be going for that detailed part, and then we will construct coding structure based on our review. Then again, we need to start from scratch. We have a huge data, a long interview. We have a long interview session. We have a long transcription. Then uh, we need to start reading that content again and again, and we need to start from that scratch. Okay, the types of code which which I will be discussing. There are many types of codes. It is not possible to discuss all the codes since all things are need to be learned in a detailed way. So here is the coding process will cover open coding, focus coding, and axial coding. And for open or initial coding, we need to go for the descriptive part. We need to actually read every line, every word very mindfully again and again. Okay, and that is a very descriptive part. Okay, so and here we will put the coding. We will make some subcoding also, and this part is known as first cycle of coding method. Okay, then we will go for second cycle of coding methods. Here there will be focus coding and axial coding. What are those things? Let us explore. So we will start our journey through open coding. So here we can say that getting the lay of the land and remaining open to the possibilities of your data, not restricted by the literature, a theory, etc. So while we'll be doing research through qualitative method, and while we'll start actually analyzing our interview, then as a psychologist, which in the first class of psychology, which actually are being taught that we need to be, as a psychologist, we need to be open-minded. So before analyzing the data, again, that things we need to keep in our mind, that while we will be analyzing the data, we need to be open-minded. Okay. And if we become open-minded, if we can accept the things as it is, then we will find, we will be able to find the lay of the land. Okay. And if we want to see the data from any perspective, any previously known literature or theory, then we may miss some important words which your participant has already expressed, and that may not be expressed through that line of theory or that line of literature. Okay. So line by line, paragraphs and segments need to be analyzed. We need to read each line minutely, each paragraph minutely, and how the things get revealed through line by line, through different paragraphs, through different segments. All things we need to consider. We need to be very alert about these things while we start the coding process. All codes are tentative and provisional, may be rewarded as analysis progress. Okay. So all the coding which we do during the, maybe we have conducted one research, and we have a interview and we have transcribed the data. Then we have started doing the coding process, and we may think that we have done this, we will not think it again. But this is not the way to analyze the interview in a proper way. While we will be doing the coding, then we need to reconsider our thinking. We may have the situation to rethink or revisit or those data, read those contents again. Okay. So here, just before showing the this data, this is also one of our research journey. Here, the research question was, we have conducted the research with the person who are having a borderline personality disorder, and the participants who are from psychology background, they may know that they are having some sort of self-harm behavior, and this is a diagnostic criteria to some in mentioning as per the diagnostic criteria of the DSM-5. But we have seen that all the persons, all the clients who are having personality disorder, they all of them do not have that kind of self-harm behavior, but they are having BPD. So what is the actually thinking process, what is the attachment style which are influencing them to think differently? This was the research question, or to behave differently. This research was conducted with the patients who are having borderline personality disorder. And here I will just share some of their interview, and you can see that at the very right corner, we have started working with the data through reading line by line, through reading every word again and again. I, with my research scholar, we jointly did this research. And here, in the open coding, which we can see here, the participant is saying that I never really expressed my problem to my parents, but I never got what they call emotional need from them. So here, basically, what we find in their expression, we just try to rewrite. We just try to select from important part from that interview, and we can place it for open coding. Again, in some another participant, we can see that she has expressed, I have never had that kind of emotional love from them. I remained alone in all my life. They were never there for me. So these were the open coding part. And from the first expression, we can go for the focus coding. What actually they are trying to express, that part is the focus coding. In the open coding, so make it clear that in the open coding part, we will write the content of the interview as it is expressed in their interview session, as it has been written by you in your transcribe. Okay. Then from that important part of your interview, you will derive to a focus coding. You will be able to go for focus coding. Here, we may say that I'm again reading this part, the expression of the interviewee. I never really expressed my problems to my parents, but I never got what they call emotional need from them. So from this expression, we have arrived that unable to express emotion to parents. This is the basic thing which the participant is trying to explain to her interviewer. Sorry. So in the next part, we can see that here it is written, I have never had that kind of emotional love from them. I remained alone in all my life. They were never there for me. Actually, this is the type of bonding they are having with their parents. They were expressing that emotion about their parents and how what was their expectation, what were their childhood experience with their parents. This was the content background. Okay. And in the qualitative research, always we need to consider the background. Okay. Since we are not dealing with number, so background is very much important part. So from this content, we may see that emotional distancing from the parent, we can arrive this part. Next, in the next row, we can find that I never got that open environment at home where I could talk openly. So when I was in trouble, I kept it to myself. So what we can derive from this expression, that is intentional emotional control. The participant is not trying to express herself in her home. So that's why intentionally the participant is trying to control her emotion. And here all the participants were female. That's why I'm saying her. Suppressed pain used to bother me so much that I could not be able to concern on other walks. From this statement, we can arrive to this focus coding, that failing to suppress emotion. So the person is concerned that when the pain bothered that person, she is not able to suppress that emotion. Again, in this part, we can see that the participant is trying to say that when my father would get very angry, he would tell me why you were alive. Then it seemed that maybe he did not want me as his daughter. So from this total statement, we can see that there is a feeling of rejection in the participant. So in the focus coding part, we will be focusing on the prime thing which the person wants to communicate with the interviewer. Okay. So here in the focus coding part, we can see that we have arrived to the coding part, the perceived feeling of rejection. In the next part, we can see that I feel that my presence has had no effect on their lives. Whether I lived or died, sorry, was of no concern to them. So here we can see that there is unavailability of parental love and care on the part of the participants. So from this open coding, we could guess that how we can derive the focus coding part, or how we can go to the focus coding part. Then comes to the axial coding part, the most prominent theme which is coming from the focus coding part. Is there any common theme which are actually coming out from the focus coding? Then we can club those codes together and make one axial coding. Okay, just you can see that from the first two interviewers expression, we can see that there is a lack of emotional support they have perceived. Okay, in the second two part, we have seen that intentional emotional control and failing to suppress emotions. So from this focus coding, we can derive to this axial coding. We can actually club this coding and make one axial coding, that difficulty in emotion regulation. From the next two next two focus codings, we can derive to the this axial coding, that they where they have expressed that perceived feeling of rejection, their perceived feeling of rejection and unavailability of parental love and care. So from these two focus codings, we have arrived that distant, punitive, unsupportive parental figure. The person has already perceived that parental figure as distant, punitive, and unsupportive. Okay, so in this way, we can club the focus codings and we can derive the axial coding. We will go for some other examples also. Just again, I will be reading from this part. I will be sharing the expression of one of my participant who have participated in our research, that my parents made me understand that there is no one to be by your side in life. You have to be alone all your life. So from this emotional expression, we can say that the person is having a sense of vacuum. Again, from the next expression, here we can see that I've always have a fear that everyone leaves me, I will become alone again. What will happen to me? So here, from this open coding, we can see that here is a fear of abandonment. And this sense of vacuum and abandonment, these we can linked to one axial coding, that is worry related to separation. Again, from the next four expressions, we will be able to go for axial coding. We can see here, when the sensation of pain increases from the sensation of the anger will decrease. The pain what was frozen in the chest will come out with physical pain. So we just before sharing these data, I have just told you that they are having, some of them are having self-harm behavior. So from this expression, we can derive this focus coding, release of suffering through self-harm. Okay. And again, we can say that the pain I used to get from seeing the blood would have diverted my mind. Seeing my blood gives me pleasure. So from this expression, we can say that emotional pain get reduced after seeing the blood. When I see my scars, I remember everything. It's like an album for me. Each one has a different story. So here, from this statement, we can say that there is a in the focus coding part, we can say that emotional sense of trauma and suffering is there. Okay. In the next expression, we can see that I keep cutting until the flesh comes out. The blood looks like the bad blood of my body. The sufferings of my life are coming out like bad blood. So momentary depersonalization, this kind of uh, these words we can code as focus coding, and we can club all 4 focus coding into one axial coding, that is functions of self harmony. So from this, here I have shared just a little part of my our total research journey. And from here, we can see that how we can derive the axial coding. The next important part of the interview, after analyzing the interview, is developing a code book. So what is a code book? Dictionary or guidebook of all codes in a project. So all the codes which you have derived, you need to prepare one code book on the basis of that. And what this code book will provide? It provides guidelines for consistent coding across the coders. You may involve 2 or 3 coders also for the same data, and if their coding is they also merged with, suppose the coder 1 and the coder 2 and the coder 3 um, has done the focus coding in the same way or in a different way, that we will be able to revisit, or we will be able to see through that code book. Okay, and we need to name the code. We have seen that in the example, we have named every code. And then we need to define and describe the code, and then example for text expert that represents the code. Here for intercoder agreement or intercoder reliability, what we can do, it is not necessary to engage more than one coder, but if we want to involve actually more than one coder just to increase the reliability of the data, then we may measure the reliability of coding determining of 2 people coding the data independently, code it in the same way. So here you will find the reference. It is a very recent development, and this is known as ICR, intercoder reliability, and the reference is given from 2020 literature. And it also improves consistency of quality of the analysis if we could engage more than one coder. And many of the institutions actually subscribe many qualitative software. There are Atlas in Vivo. So many researchers use those software to calculate those codes. Okay, but here we are actually learning how to analyze the data manually. It is very much needed. Okay, then come to consensus on codes and revise the definition. Okay, if we have already defined some codes, if we have already defined some concepts, then after revisiting the code book and after having that, after conducting the intercoder agreement, we need to come in a consensus point whether we will be defining the codes in the same way or some revisions are needed due to the feedback of the or due to the difference of the intercoder variability there, or but we will include all the data. Here it is not like that, just like quantitative data, we will just reduce, or we will just will not consider those data as a part of our journey. Okay, those things we will be including in our research also. Another thing which is very much needed while analyzing any qualitative data, that is, and specifically it is also applicable for interview also, that is the trustworthiness. How we can analyze this trustworthiness. Here the reference is given from Lincoln and Guba, which is a very known book for qualitative research. That is credibility, transferability, dependability, and conformability. Okay, what are those things? Let us explore. Here we can see that credibility is the confidence in the truth of the findings, akin to internal validity in qualitative research. And question to consider: are the findings we present based on the data analysis? Do the findings reflect participants' views or experiences? So we can ask this question, okay, whether we are actually giving our words, or we are putting our words in the face of our participant, and what we are expecting, we are just trying to rebuild the journey as per our research interest. Whether it is that or not, we can recheck it through the confidence or truth of the findings. So we can question that. That's why we need to question that: do the findings reflect participants' view or experience, or we are the or we are expressing our emotion, or we are putting our words, or we are just trying to say the words as per our wish or as per our needs, showing that the findings, again, the what is transferability. Here we can see that showing that the findings have applicability in other contexts, equivalent to external validity in quantitative research. Question to consider: do my findings apply to other people, time period, etc.? Though if this transferability is very, the chance of this transferability is very low, since in qualitative data, in qualitative analysis, we specifically consider the person in that particular context. So we need to rethink and we need to think it very minutely while finding the external validity, this notion. Okay. Next part, that is the conformability. What is that? Neutrality of the researcher. Researcher's reality versus participants' realities. Keep the focus on your participants' realities. If we try to focus on our reality, then we will be missing our participants' reality. We will not be able to answer will not be able to find our research answer of the our research questions. Okay, so study findings should not be based on your preferences and viewpoints, but rather should be grounded in data, equivalent to the objectivity in the quantitative research. Since we may have some sort of blend of mind of doing quantitative research, that's why here we have tried to connect it with quantitative data. And in the fourth part here, we can see in the D, that is dependability, showing that the findings are consistent, study procedures are documented and distinguishable, consistency in interview and analysis process, equivalent to reliability in quantitative research. Questions to consider. What questions we need to consider? Am I consistent in the way I'm analyzing the data? Am I consistent in the way I'm doing the interview or observation? Sometimes we may put the question in a way so that we can have our desirable answer. So we need to check this part for while we'll be claiming that this data is dependable. During that time, we need to check and recheck whether we have tried to influence our attitude through our attitude to our participants. Okay, so in this way we can check the dependability part. Here the threats to trustworthiness. What are the threats we can have while we will be finding or will be building the trustworthiness of our data in qualitative interview data? So first thing is the potentially distorting efforts of the researchers presence on participants' beliefs and behavior. We may have some distorted kind of attitude. We may express some influential attitude towards the participant that may have some influence on the participant's expression. So that is the threat reactivity. Suppose the participant has expressed that just think about the data which I have talked just before the 2 slides, that one participant were expressing how her psychological pain get reduced through that physical pain. And if as a researcher during that time, just researcher starts saying that, oh my God, what happened to you? Is it a right way to express your emotion? You should not do this. So it will be our biasness. Okay, and if we start reacting in this way, then there in the next question or in the next part of the interview will be influenced by that kind of reactivity. Okay, next thing which is threat to the trustworthiness, that is researchers' biases. Choose informants who fit within their worldview. Okay, asking leading questions to solicit the answers you want. তাহলে যেখানে তুমি leading question, if you just start doing some leading questions, then your research contents will be getting influenced by those research questions. Okay, and next part is ignoring data that does not support your conclusions. You are just trying to ignore those part of the data which is not supporting your point of view, your opinion about the person, which is not actually supporting your tentative hypothesis of the research. So you are just trying to avoid those or ignoring those parts to support your conclusion that I'm right, I'm saying this. I'm just only portraying those part of the interviews which is supporting only my opinion. So here we can say that these data get influenced by researchers' biasness. And next is respondents' biasness, that is withholding information and or lying. So that's why we need to give more emphasis on the rapport establishment, and we need to reassure our participants that all data will be kept confidential and will be used for the purpose of research only. No personal, there will be no disclosure of the personal information. Okay, so here comes the if the researcher find it very threatening, the person just may just express a different reality, which is not actually his or her own expression, which is actually not his or her own journey. Okay. Next is offer answers that they think the researchers want to hear. Just the participant wants to influence the researcher, and that's why again in before starting the interview, here the precaution which we need to take care of, that before starting the interview we need to say that uh, there is no right or wrong answer. You may say, or you can say your anything which you have experienced. Okay, I will be there and I will be listening your journey. There, I, uh, as a researcher, nothing I will do apart from this. So, if the respondent just tries to influence the researcher and just started thinking that I will try to influence the researcher, and just they will express just the opposite of their own expression. And again is ineffective recall. These things sometimes happen in retrospective. If the incident happened may 30 years back and the researcher, and you are trying to conduct research, suppose the just you have started talking to one person who is 80 years old, and you are trying to elicit, or you are trying to interview that person uh, during that time when he witnessed the independence. How was the day and what was his experience and how was the feeling? So that is a so long time back data. The person uh, may not recall it correctly. Okay, so there may be due to ineffective recall, the data may get influenced. This is a reference from Paget 2017. And another thing which, sorry, before just ending, I just want to discuss this thing, then we will go for the discussion. If you have any question related to your research, if you want to know anything from your analysis, then we will be discussing that part. So what is in-depth interview? Uh, we have known the word. We know the word in-depth interview, but what is that? In-depth interview, viewing is a qualitative research technique that involves conducting intensive individual interviews with a small number of respondents to explore their perspectives on a particular idea, program, or situation. So here we can say that number matters in quantitative research, but in qualitative research, we can do the research with involving one or two participant, and we can go for in-depth interview, and that interview may take a long time. Okay, we have a 10 20 interview sessions where the participants actually go the tries to express their emotions in depth in a day-by-day interview sessions. And when the in-depth interviews are appropriate, in-depth interviews are useful when you want detailed information about a person's thoughts and behaviors, or want to explore new issues in depth. So these interviews are often used to provide context of other data, such as outcome data, offering a more complete picture of what happened in the program and why. So here I just want to stop. This is the end part. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. Thank you so much. I'm just ending the screen sharing. You can unmute yourself and you can ask questions. If you have any question, you can ask it.
Ma'am, good evening.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. So thank you for the lovely explanation. You have done it in a detailed way, and thank you for making us understand the differences of the different types of interviews also. Thank you so much. Ma'am, there is something I want to ask. That is, in the beginning when you started, you talked about your own PhD research and how you have shared the experience of a group of people or a group of children who in front of the camera or in front of the microphone will say something, and then behind the screens they will say something else. So ma'am, when we are also interviewing such people now, it can be because of social desirability, or it can be because of the Hawthorne effect also. So these are very natural things in our daily lives as well. Even like I can relate, like in our job interviews also, we face certain questions from the interviewer or the HR, and then we'll have to say something so that it goes for us, not against us. So the thing is, even like
Yes.
in spite of all this, how much valid are our interview responses and the coding and analysis? Because like why this question came to my mind is that I never thought it in this way, because like we are more used to quantitative research rather than qualitative analysis. And because you have shared this lovely experience, I can relate that yes, definitely, like if we are going to generalize. After all, in the end we are going to generalize and we're going to give a conclusion, but there are so many different perspectives that can come up from the same question, from the same participant as well. So how much valid do you think is going to be our final analysis and conclusion?
Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful question, Shrestha.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could remember that in the last part of my presentation, we discussed about the trustworthiness of the data and how we can handle it. Okay. During that part, actually, we need to, if your participants start talking before just starting the interview and just after the interview, there is another part that is, as a researcher, we can maintain, that is memo writing. Okay. In our memos, we can include those parts. That is the beauty of qualitative research. We can include all the contents in our research, all the contents of our research journey in our research thesis writing or paper writing. Okay. And another thing is that in qualitative research, we do not go for generalization. Okay. And that's why we just want to describe that person or that research question in that particular context. Okay. Apart from that context, that may not valid to other person. The opinion or life experience may differ in some other person also. So if we have if we want to go for that generalizability, then we need to conduct the research in a mixed method way. Okay, there where you will keep some quantitative aspects also. On the basis of that, you may derive generalizability part. Okay, but in the qualitative data part, you may include all the expressions, emotional journey, lifelong journey, or other information which you have find in during your interview. You can include it in your research. Okay. Am I clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, like you're saying that
Okay.
we can include both. Like if a participant comes and suppose there is just one question I have asked, and the participant says the answer, and then after some time, once I switch off the recorder, the participant says, "Don't tell this to anyone," but this also happens.
Yes.
So, what to do with such type of data?
Yeah. Here we need to keep that information in our memos. Okay. There is one important part of qualitative research, that is memo writing. How to write the memo, how to keep the field note. These things are very much important. Okay, we have just discussed about just one research method, that is interview analysis. But if you want to do the qualitative, if you want to conduct research through qualitative research method, then we need to consider these parts also: memo writing, that is taking the field notes, researcher's journey. These all things will give a holistic point of view of the research. Okay.
Right,
Am I
ma'am. Yes,
clear,
yes.
Shrestha?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any question we can discuss? Please do not hesitate to ask. Or you can share your own research journey also, if you have any wish to do or wish to conduct any qualitative research through interview method. If you have certain queries, you can ask those questions also. We can discuss those things over here also. Any question from anyone? Anyone else?
Kakuli, Kavita, do you want to ask anything about interview analysis? Kakuli and Kavita, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Do you have any query, or do you share your experience about qualitative research? Are you doing research at present? Actually, I do not know the background, what you are doing at present.
Ma'am, hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. So I have it's not today's about a today's topic. It was fine with everything where I have understood clearly. Ma'am, I just want to know one thing about we have when we collect data, so or when we go through thematic analysis and this thing. So during that time, we use triangulation process, that is the thing. So, but we also, when we study types of mixed method, okay, ma'am. So during that time also we have four types of mixed method. So the first is the triangulations, then the embedded, then the explanatory, then the exploratory. So is it that that particular triangulations method is similar to the thing which we speak in the triangulations? I think that they one thing I was just a bit confused. Suppose we have collected data, we have extracted the themes. Okay, then after that we ask those themes to verify with some other researchers, like whether how much it is valid and things, no? So that process is known as strangulation or what actually? So I was a bit confused.
I can
So
refer you some. You need to go to some research articles. Okay,
okay, okay.
it is a very in detailed process. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Yeah.
we are just talking about the interview analysis, and
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
in you are talking about focus, maybe about focus group discussion in a grounded theory method.
Yes,
There we,
ma'am. Like,
yeah.
for example, even if we go
Hmm,
through interview
hmm,
method also, no, ma'am. Like when
hmm,
we take out the,
hmm,
and anyways, we have to go for the Excel coding, and then then we take out the themes and the things we are there, right, ma'am?
yes,
So
yes,
after
yes.
the themes, after taking out the themes, and after that, like
Hmm, hmm.
in some research paper they tell us, like they went up, like if I,
Yeah, yeah.
because I was going through some papers, okay, like they have done the interview techniques, then they have come up with the, like the themes with the help of the Excel coding and everything. That one I have understood, ma'am. But in
Hmm,
few papers I have seen they have also, in the procedure, in the methodology part, they used to write
hmm,
that like before, like after extracting the themes, they went through strangulation. So
hmm,
that time I get confused actually, because as far as I
hmm,
know, like that
hmm,
strangulation is something like where we try to study in the types of
hmm.
mixed methodology. We have four types
N-
and this. So
No, 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 no. In qualitative research, we do
yeah,
triangulation. Okay,
yeah,
that, that is a different part. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and that is a very much part of our qualitative research journey. If suppose you want to conduct the
Hmm,
um life experience of the cancer survivors. Okay,
hmm,
and
hmm, hmm,
you are you have find five people who are survivors of cancer,
hmm,
and they are having a same kind of temperament, and
hmm,
then we can conduct a research in a focus group method. Here
hmm, hmm,
we can involve we can here in the face to face session there will be more than one participants, and
hmm, hmm.
that is in a detailed way we need to study that part. Okay, since
Yes,
and
ma'am.
after doing the part, then we will we actually go for the triangulation. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
okay, 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 ma'am. Yes, I got it. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Yeah,
thank you,
yes, ma'am.
Kakoli, for your
Thank you.
question. Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's just like, I used to go through some papers, like they have used the interview techniques. So that's
Yeah.
what, like, because
Hmm.
you are
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
teaching interview
Hmm.
techniques. So
Hmm.
I've thought of like adding this point, like after interview techniques also, we do
Hmm.
go for
Hmm.
triangulations, right,
Hmm.
ma'am?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
For checking the validity, we
ah,
go for triangulation. We uh, may ask we may actually recheck the content from other sources also, and in
ah,
this way we go for the triangulation. Okay, so in this
yes,
way
yes.
we can check the validity of our data. That is a in detailed process which we need to discuss in a separate class, since it's also a
Ah,
huge process. Okay, a
yes,
long
yes.
process. Hmm.
Okay, 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 got it. But there is that process, right?
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
the process. Okay, okay. Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kakoli. Uh, any other participant wish to ask any question? You are most welcome.
Kavita, Mona Lisa, Sri Lakshmi, any doubt? Kavita, do you want to ask anything? You have chosen this topic. Do you have anything to ask?
I think there is no more question. Is it, Farah?
Yes, ma'am. I feel the same.
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I want to express our sincere thanks for your valuable contribution to the interview analysis practicum. Uh, RPRIT appreciate your dedication and insights that have shaped our understanding of qualitative research. Thank you, ma'am, for being a
Thank,
crucial part of their academic journey.
thank you, Farah, for conducting the class or session so nicely. Thank you, all of you. If you have any query, you can send me one email. I will try to respond your query, or I will try to clarify your query. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
your email ID will
Thank
be
you, ma'am.
available.
Okay, I'm typing in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Farah, I have made you co-host. Now you can end the session. I
ma'am.
think it will not
Thank
be
you,
difficult
ma'am.
for you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am. Thank you,
I'm
ma'am.
leaving. Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night,
ma'am. Take
ma'am.
care.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, students. Take care.
Thank
Good
you.
night, ma'am.